Hi everybody. So 3 days before Thanksgiving, we were alerted to a massive winter storm coming our way. We had lots of prepping to do just for the storm alone, let alone for the dinner that we had planned for Thanksgiving. Living off grid the way that we do does absolutely require some forethought, and especially when it's possible that we may get snowed in for a few days, being unable to get to our community well. So in this video, I have several different activities going on at the time, and I wanted to talk through them. Like right here, I'm getting ready to put my bread to rise that I will be using for Thanksgiving, the stuffing that I will make on Thanksgiving. Our house is so dusty. I know I've mentioned this before. Living in the forest, using wood heat all the time, and having the number of dogs that we have. So I cover my bowls up after I wash them to help keep the dust out, but still, I haven't used this bowl for several months, and dust still has a way to get in. I don't know what it is, so I was just washing it out to get any dust out. One of the things about YouTube is not having any dead airspace. Just casually talking can be very stressful because your viewers are watching and you want to keep them engaged and you want them to feel the moment. But sometimes the moment requires not talking. This is actually the longest video that I have done in a very long time. And I decided not to cut anything out of it, but to kind of just talk as if we're having a casual conversation. You're sitting at our table and maybe enjoying a cup of coffee. Maybe we've talked about the day's events or the week's events on what has been going on. And then maybe things get silent. So if you like just conversations of old time, or if you like the silence of a good friend, then this is the video for you. If you need to have constant interaction, then this is not going to be one that you're going to enjoy. But right here, this was something that Ron and Zeb were trying to get done for me before the holiday. We still don't have our paint picked out or ordered for the cupboard, but we did have stain, and we have stained the inside of all of our cupboards that Ron has made. We've just stained them a warm wood color so that when I put the fairy lights in, it's very inviting. It's a wonderful background light. Living without electricity and not using kerosene lights anymore, but using the USB charged items, I have found fairy lights to be extremely comforting when we don't have full lighting going on, if we're trying to conserve our batteries and stuff. The fairy lights are run by USB battery pack that we charge either on our solar or on our little inverter generator. And then we just use those at night to keep like a night light. But it also is attractive to see the cupboard. So this was a rather big job that's still unfinished. But something that made a huge difference when he was done.
Yeah, those got planed on and whatnot. A lot lighter to begin with. Yep. And we probably tried to use the nicer boards for the top here.
Well, you did a fantastic job with piecing it all together. So with the storm coming, we knew that we needed to get water so that we had plenty to get us through. We filled up every available pan. If we had some buckets full of water still, we do about a daily trip of water for our family. Now, there's 6 of us, and that water goes for our washing our dishes or any type of household need that we have. And we get 16 buckets in our truck, and it's usually a one day or a trip a day for us, and that does allow me to do a load of laundry a day. But in this case, we needed to make sure that we had as much as possible. So we filled up all of our pans that we had, and our reservoir there that we used for sap, picking sap down in the cupboard next to the stove, holds about 6 5-gallon buckets. So we technically had almost 2 full truckloads of water before the storm started. It's about a 10 to maybe like 13-minute drive to get to the well, and then each bucket takes about, I think the guys have timed it to like 5 minutes a bucket, somewhere in there. And because we aren't the only ones that come with a huge load to fill. There are people that come with like big 100-gallon drums tied down in the back of their trucks, and they devise a hose that they hook up to the well hose and do it that way. Some people come with 55-gallon barrels, but when we do have folks that are just trying to fill up a drinking water jug, we always step aside for them so they don't have to wait.
Consensus is 35 to 65, with 45 to 55 being the peak. But then, leave us not forget, 1977 to 19.
Setting up. Okay?
There's a way we should get into it.
Probably. I don't remember what happened.
Here's my oven.
So we're always being watched. There's always somebody whose eyes are on us while we're trying to get work done, especially if it's with food. You got that other lamp?
Do what?
Yeah.
I'm talking purely mainstream movies, not. Back in the day, you could go to almost any movie and bet on it being good, at least decent. A new story.
Laughing at Pat.
With the mirror around curves, I'm over enough.
You're cutting those apples back there?
Ooh, they'd be cider by now.
Let's give them to the goats.
Oreo.
Just thought I'd give you a sense of what it's like for us to
Mirror
have to get our water. I've cut a
Firewood. Look at all that firewood in there.
Unloved, unwanted.
take it far too much for granted in this day and age. So when I hear people talk about conserving and trying to put all these laws and things into practice, the reality is it has to come from the understanding of the precious commodity that we have, not from the laws that dictate what can and can't be used, because far too many people that put the laws into actions don't appreciate the precious commodity. So it's a matter of understanding if there are people in the free world that do not have clean water. And when you have it, even though you have to travel for it, it is a true gift. So we have a wagon, as you saw when Josiah brought the buckets up, that we use that when there's no snow to take them back to the cabin. When there is snow, we have a sled that we haul the waters back with.
Explain to them what you...
We had a small problem, which I'm glad I put that up. Okay.
They look real nice.
They do look very pretty, don't they? Very, very festive. Did you see I covered up the 2x4 and Tyvek wall? I found those in the drawer. Yeah, I thought that kind of looked nicer. I always use white bread for my dressing. Cannot imagine using whole grain, though I know people do. And I make dressing like maybe twice a year. Sometimes just once, maybe twice. So I don't mind the white bread. So back to visiting here and just talking and letting there be silence. That's one of the downfalls of, I've counted a lot of things lately about social media that actually are blessings, because I know we focus a lot on the negative, but there is a lot of good things about social media that has given people voices that otherwise would be silenced, that have given people communities that otherwise wouldn't have communities. But one of the things I think that social media definitely is a negative in is people don't know how to just be quiet and enjoy company. Doing these longer videos, oh my goodness, what a pressure, and that's why I never do them, to feel like you always have to have something to say. And you know, to me that's a tactic of the enemy, because if we're always talking, then we're never listening. We never give the person that we're talking with the opportunity to digest the things that have been discussed. And you know, it's kind of, in our Christian walk, we have to be silent to hear God. And we have to be silent to get direction. And I think it applies the same way in conversation. We shouldn't be afraid to hear the quiet, because in the quiet we learn so much about what's set out in the open. So I'm just going to go with this in this video and continue on with just our quiet conversation, our very gentle visit. You know, I grew up in an era where if you sat with your neighbor over a cup of coffee and you had things to share, that was great. And then if it got quiet, that was okay too. And then you could start the conversation up again. It's just not something that people are used to today. With it being Thanksgiving, I do have a Thanksgiving journal entry to read to you from World War II. And I thought it was appropriate for this particular video. So I will go ahead and read that, even though I was just going to stay silent during the bread making scene. But I hope you enjoy it. And I have a little special thing after I read this. So let's do this and then we'll continue on. This is November 1943. And it was written by a farmer's wife. And it reads as follows. The morning came early, though I had been half awake already. The wind rattled the window panes a bit, tugging at the eaves like a restless visitor. They say a winter storm is sweeping in down over the East Coast, and by the feel of the air this morning, I reckon they're right. I lit the lamp at the kitchen table and whispered a prayer of thanks for the small things. Matches that strike, oil enough to see by, a stove that draws well when the wind cuts sideways across the yard. A woman learns to be thankful for what she has, not wistful for what she doesn't. Hard times teach that better than plenty ever could. As I waited for the kettle to come to a boil, I glanced toward the bedroom doorway. There he was, my husband, sitting on the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees, his head bowed low. He didn't know I saw him. He thinks he must be the strong one, that a wife shouldn't carry the weight he carries. But I see it anyways. The furrow in his brow grows deeper these days. The war has taken both our boys, each to opposite sides of the ocean. Their last letters came weeks apart. I keep them tucked in my apron pocket now and again, just to feel close. It'll be our first Thanksgiving without them. I think that's why he rises in the night, quiet as a shadow, to pray. I don't interrupt. I pray along with him in my own way. Hands in dough, hands in dishwater, hands gathering eggs in the half-light. A woman's prayers rise just the same. The kettle hissed then, pulling my thoughts back home. I opened the back door to fetch the wood for the stove. The November air hit sharp, filled with the smell of storm coming. Snow and cold earth and a hint of distant pine. Our turkey strutted in the yard, plump and proud, unaware he was destined for the table tomorrow. The boys helped raise him last spring from a hatchling. I swallowed hard at that thought. They wouldn't be here to carve him. But I'll make their favorite anyway. Sweet potato pie for James, scalloped potatoes for Samuel. Tradition keeps a mother steady when the world is shifting. I spent the morning washing eggs, polishing apples from the cellar, and mixing up dough for the bread that will rise warm against the wood stove. It's quieter than last year, yet somehow the quiet feels holy. Wartime has a way of stripping life down to its essentials: faith, family, daily bread. There are shortages, of course. Sugar is scarce, butter even scarcer for most people in town. But the Lord has been kind to us on our little farm. We have wood to burn, plenty of milk and cream from the cows, potatoes enough, jars in the pantry, and strength to work. And though fear knocks at the door of my heart at times, I remember the words that steadied my mother long ago. He shall cover thee with his feathers, under his wings shalt thou trust. Psalms 91:4. By afternoon, the clouds thickened and the storm began its slow creep toward the sky. I tucked extra quilts at the foot of the bed, set aside another kerosene lamp full, and checked the pantry one more time. My hands know the routine. They've lived enough Novembers to be ready. And tomorrow, hopefully, the house will be full again, unless the storm doesn't allow it. Our daughters and their little ones tumbling through the doorway, breath pink from the cold, arms full of casseroles and pies. Laughter makes a good defense against sorrow, and I'll welcome every bit of it. Still, there are 2 empty chairs. Every mother of a soldier learns to set the table with hope and ache in the same breath. Tonight, when the last chore is done, I'll sit beside my husband with a cup of steaming coffee and rest in the only truth that holds us together. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart. Psalms 34:18. War or no war, storm or no storm, God keeps his own. And so I end this entry with gratitude, not for easy days, but for the grace that carries us through the hard times. Thanksgiving will come, and with it the reminder that even in a weary world, we are held steady by a faithful God. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. And not only that, let's see if I can get this on video, picture of it. All I'm thinking about it'll probably just be a picture. But this letter was tucked into her journal from one of her sons, and it's dated Sunday, June 6, 1943. Now, it does not coincide with the Thanksgiving entry, but nonetheless, it's touching to know that she hung on to it. Dear Mother and Dad, just a few lines to let you know I am well and alive. Well, how are you folks? I am way out here in Wyoming, 1,300 miles from home. This fort is located just 3 miles from Cheyenne, but I won't be able to get into town for a while. I really haven't been doing much as yet, as far as training is concerned. But starting June 14th, they will keep me busy for 17 weeks. This is a replacement training center, and when I finish here, I will be assigned to a permanent unit to put to use for what I was taught here. We left Fort Custer Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. and arrived here Thursday a.m., 41 hours on the train. Well, this is all for now, as Marion has probably told you everything that I have written to her. So write, and I will try and do better next time. Love, Samuel. Here is my address. So, interesting, Fort Custer was a very large military base in Battle Creek, Michigan, where I grew up at. So I thought that was fascinating. So after he got the cupboard done, I put on my fairy lights. It takes a while. It's very tedious. It is not a job I care for, but once it's done, it's worth it. Sometimes these fairy lights do not last very long, and then I find I have to redo them, but sometimes they just seem to go on and on. They have very little fine wires in them that are easy to break. And this is my Friendly Village set. I use these for the holidays. I do have, yes, a dish fetish. For those that have been with me for a long time, you know that I have dish issues. But the dishes you can get pretty much for a song and a dance. Okay, so for my Fiesta ware, there was a song, a dance, and a whistle. But these brighten up the holidays. I also have a ribbon poinsettia set, but it's quite larger and quite a mess to get out. So this is perfect. And Simeon just loves it. One of the problems I find when I'm cooking for a large meal, I forget about worrying about feeding my family on this, that day. So fortunately, I had enough dough left from my bread I was making for stuffing to cook up for sandwiches. And it turned out delicious. Absolutely. It was nice because I don't, like I said, we don't eat a lot of white bread, white flour. And I do like a nice slice once in a while. Simeon, one of my old souls, loves cheese sandwiches, so that's what he got for his lunch. So what did Tom think Whit was getting?
I don't know. We were talking about Grady. I think he thought he was getting him what Eugene's going to get him.
What's Eugene getting him?
Don't know. I think...
Okay, so you want this?
Concerned about it. Oh yeah, it's a bummer. I really need a new car. So, who opens the first gift?
Ladies first.
Here, Miss Kendall, you
can
open
mine.
Oh, thank you, Eugene.
But curiosity can kill you something.
What did he get him?
haven't opened it yet.
Molly.
So I guess we're done. No, we're close. Wade hasn't even opened up Eugene's mustache trimmer yet.
Miss Kendall.
What? And Eugene hasn't opened Well, I never get those because I do. And most of the six because I'm always doing good things. But when I get noticed for them, I have to do something bad once in a while. I'm trying to believe I can't do anything bad.
How's that?
That's good.
So I'd like to leave you here with several minutes of beautiful snowfall. Absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if you get snow in your area where you're at. So if not, I hope this is an extra special treat. For those of you that were hit by the storm or get lots of snow, I'm sorry. I hope this doesn't trigger any issues for you. But our snow is here to stay, and we're just get more and more. So Zebulon took the footage of this, and he did a pretty doggone good job, as well as doing the editing in the snowy or in the outdoor parts. But all right, well, prayed you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving and enjoy your holiday season, and we will talk soon. God bless.
Doing babies? Like the Chronicles of Narnia. That tree over there might. Still flowing. Jeez.